Welcome back friend. Today we discuss about a fat. In previous video we discussed about the protein and now we discuss about a fat. This is from the chapter macronutrient part 2. Protein already discussed and next is our fat. So let's get started. Okay. So what is fat in the technical language? If we're talking about a fat, then fat is made up of fatty acid and glycerol. Okay. Fatty acid is what example is palmic acid, stearic acid, oleic and linolenic acid. These are the example of fatty acid. Okay, and fat is made up of fatty acid and glycerol. This is in the what, in a technical language or in a definition way. But if I'm talking about in general, what is fat? Fat is nothing but a waxy or the oily content is called a fat that we use in our daily food or in any dish if we made. We use a fat oil in little or we use oil. Okay, so fat is oil. In fat, oil and waxes comes. Okay, so glycerol is the cholesterol. Cholesterol is the grassy and insoluble in water. Okay, that is cholesterol is also the fat. Now the fatty acid is of three category. What? Three category. Number one, the shorter. Okay, shorter chain, then the longer chain, and then the very long chain. Okay, in the shorter chain 10 or fewer carbons chain 10 or fewer carbons are present. That is shorter chain of fatty acid. If the fatty acid is what, carboxylic acid. That mostly we talking about fatty acid is carboxylic acid. So here the long chain of fatty acid. Okay, so if the chain of carbon chain in the fatty acid, if the 10 or fewer carbon, then is shorter chain. If the fatty acid have a longer chain, means contain 12 to 20 carbon, then that is longer chain. If contain the 20 or more chain carbon in the fatty acid chain, then is what, in a carbon chain. Okay, then it's called a very long. Okay, then a saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acid mean if in a carbon chain what present, single bond is present, and if a carbon chain of fatty acid, okay, contain what, double bond, then it's called unsaturated fatty acid. Next is a essential fatty acid and non-essential. Essential fatty acid provided by the diet. That obviously it's just like a essential amino acid and non-essential amino acid. So what is essential fatty acid? That provided by the diet. These fatty acids are provided by diet, whatever we eat, from that our body get this fatty acid. 2-linoleic and linoleic acid, these are the example of essential fatty acid. And non-essential, that our body makes, we don't need get from diet. Okay, that is non-essential. Then the glyceride. So fat is a triesters of glycerides and triesters of glyceride and yes, triesters of glyceride. So what is triesters? Triglycerides. So three fatty acid or three carboxylic acid. Okay, and the molecule of glycerol. Okay, glycerol nothing but alcohol. So fatty acid and alcohol, this combination is what, fat. Okay, so glycerol is what, three fatty acid and molecules of glycerol when joined then form a triglyceride. I hope you already what is monoglyceride, diglyceride, whatever that you already, I think you all discussed, because you watching this video after the 12th or only 12th standard or after the 10th you are watching, so you know about fat. Okay, so here we discuss only the important that you not discuss in the 12th or in the BSc, that only we focus mostly here. Okay, fat, oil. So fat is what and oil is what, difference between these two, fat and oil. So fat is what, the solid at room temperature. Fat is what, that is solid at room temperature. Okay, then means what, ghee and butter is example, is solid at room temperature, solid, but if you heat it they become oil or become liquid. Okay, so then is a saturated fatty acid, contain the saturated fatty acid, means single bond contain fat. Then oil is a liquid at room temperature. Okay, then the saturated fatty acid, whatever the refined soybean oil we use, that is what, that is the oil, that is a liquid, or just that is the example of oil. Then the mustard oil, groundnut oil, soya oil, coconut oil. These are the example, number of example. Liquid, okay, liquid at room temperature and contains unsaturated fatty acid. Means contain in carbon chain. What? Double bond or triple bond is present. Then is what? Food source. So in a food source of what? Fat. So 100% fat, if you're talking about 100% fat containing food, is what? Ghee, vanaspati ghee, nothing but dalda. Then the mustard oil, soya oil and coconut oil, all is 100% fat. Okay. Then the rich fat rich food. Okay, these are 100%. The fat rich food comes milk product, nuts, oilseed, egg, flesh foods, and 8 to 50% contain the fat. These are the fat rich, not 100% fat containing food, but they contain about 50%, up to 8 to 50%. And these are the example of fat rich food. Almonds, okay, almonds or almonds, whatever you pronounce. Okay, 58.9 gram per 100 gram. Okay, this is a, so 58 point, if you take the 100 grams of what? Almonds, they then contain a 58.9% fat, and cashew nut contain 46, then the groundnut contain 40.1, then the coconut contain 41.6, then the mustard seed contain the what? Mustard seed contain 39.7, then soybean contain 19.5, egg contain 13.3, mutton contain 13.3. Okay, so almonds contain about 58 more. Almond, cashew nut, groundnut contain more fat. Okay, then present in all food, and these fat, if the sources of fat we're talking about, almost all the food contain, food material, food atoms contain the fat in a little quantity or minute quantity. Okay, all food, but some food contain very rich, up to 8 to 15, but and some contain 100%. Okay, then the function of fat. So function of fat is that if a fat taken excess, the problem is created. Fat is not a bad thing. First, this misconception from your mind you have to remove, that fat is not a bad. If you've taken the fat in excess, then it is bad for you. But if you're taking in limit, there is no harm of this fat. It's very now we see how the fat is important. Nothing but function. Okay, so source of energy. Next source of energy after the carbohydrate is fat. Okay, so if you are not taking the food for 1 month, or if you are at fasting, when you are fasting, at that time what? Fat, our body uses fat. Second energy source, fat use. Okay, 1 gram of fat contains 9 kilocalories, and 1 gram of carbohydrate contains 4 kilocalories. So from the fat we get a more energy than the carbohydrate. Okay, but this is a second choice. Small amount after the carbohydrate. Okay, so small amount meet energy need of the body, then excess stored in adipose tissue under the skin and abdominal area. Excess of fat is stored in our abdomen or under the skin in adipose tissue, they are stored. Then the satiety value. Okay, remain longer in the stomach and trupti. Okay, remain longer in stomach and more time to digest. Satiety means truptu. This is also like a fiber. This gives satiety means remain longer in our stomach and time to take a digest, because they require a while to broken down and then absorbed by the intestine. Okay, so next is what? Next function is a insulation and padding. Okay, fat layer in the skin is act as insulator or fat layer. Some people are fatty. I'm not. Okay, so some people are fatty, they have more fat in their abdomen, or they are fatty, some are lean. Okay, so I'm saying my meaning, what I am to tell you, that if some person is a fatty, or they have the more fat in their body, then that person, yes, the fat on that body is act like insulator, heat insulator. Okay, they protect their body from the, yes, from the coldness, from the cold. So the lean person easily get, yes, shivering or the become cold, but or feel cold, but the fat containing, more fat containing, or the fatty person not yes, not become feel cold easily, or they not shiver easily, because they are fat, they act as insulator, they act as heat insulator. I hope you understand. Then the around a vital organ like a kidney, and they are around a vital organ like kidney and heart. Okay, so they're protecting them, kidney and heart. Then padding, okay, just like a padding, they're covering the kidney and heart, give the extra support, extra. Okay, then the carrier of fat soluble vitamin, carrier, carrier, not career, carrier of fat soluble vitamin. Okay, so fat serve as a carrier of fat soluble vitamin, help in absorption. So they are carrier of fat soluble vitamin. These are the function. First is the energy, then the satiety value, remain longer in stomach, gives you satiety, trupti. Then the insulation and padding, act as heat insulator, protect your body from the coldness. Then they cover the vital organs or important organs, kidney and heart. Then the what, carrier of the fat soluble vitamin. Then the next point is the digestion and absorption of and utilization of this fat. How this fat is absorbed, utilized, okay, our body. So when we eat a food, they contain the fat, and what happen, the food contain the fat. Only we talking about food contain protein, carbohydrate, all. But now here we only talking about as we eat the food that contain fat, and what happened to that fat, how our body absorb it, how we utilize that fat, that we are talking here. Okay, so fat, okay, in this point, okay, digestion, absorption and utilization. So fat is what, glycerol and fatty acid. So enzyme, gastric lipase that present in gastric juice, and pancreatic lipase contained in pancreatic juice. Okay, what happened, and liver, okay, liver secrete a bile, and that bile break the fat into small droplets. Okay, disperse plus digestive juice, okay, acted upon the enzyme and small intestine. Okay, so digestive juice or these gastric lipase, pancreatic lipase act what, in a small intestine. In stomach bile is not present, that was they not broken down into, that's why these lipase, gastric lipase not act on them. Okay, then the glycerol and fatty acid move into the small intestinal cell. Okay, so as our eat the food in the stomach, nothing happen with that fat. Then as they enter into the small intestine, in small intestine the bile is secreted by the liver, and that bile broken down that fat into small droplets. Then in intestine the pancreatic juices is also present, that broken down this fat into again smaller droplets. Okay, so just like happen, fatty acid not enter the small intestinal cell. Bile salt play an important role in a fat absorption. So as we break the lipase enzymes act on fat after the small droplets is droplet made by the bile secreted by liver. Then these droplets, or then this fatty acid and glycerol separated, and this fatty acid and glycerol, the fatty acid absorption is not directly absorbed, the bile salt is help in absorption of this fatty acid. And bile salt what doing, the fatty acid, okay, the bile salt acted on fatty acid, and fatty acid is a water so soluble, and micelles make water soluble in micelle and move into the intestinal cell and blood circulation. Okay, so bile salt, bile salt convert fatty acid what into water soluble, convert the fatty acid into water soluble like micelles, and these micelles then move into the intestine. So in the micelles form, the fatty acid enter into the intestine. First what, enter the lymph node. Then first these fat, okay, this fatty acid glycerol, this fatty simple forms of the fatty acid is then what form, first they enter into the lymph vessel, then this fatty acid form the heart, lymph vessel. Then this fatty acid where goes, heart, from heart to blood to then adipose tissue, this fat going, then from adipose to store or to the cell, is stored to the adipose tissue or then goes to the cell, and the concentration of energy broken down to provide energy. Then the cholesterol. This is very important point, that the cholesterol. Everyone have the misconception about the cholesterol, and now I would try to remove your all the mistakes, all your cholesterol, all your misconception. Okay, the cholesterol is what is cholesterol? It is a fat substance present in a food. Where present in a food? Fat substance is a fatty substance. Cholesterol is fatty substance, gaspy. Okay, different in a structure from glycerol, like fat and oil. They are different from the fat and oil. Cholesterol, different structure. They are fatty substance, but they are different from the fat and oil. Okay, how different? Animal food like milk, egg, organ meat, ghee, butter, cream, rich source of cholesterol. They are rich source. Milk, egg, ghee, butter, cream are milk, rich source of cholesterol. Okay, plant food. None of the vegetable oil, nuts, seed contain the cholesterol. This is the very interesting, that vegetable oils or nuts and oil seeds not contain these, what cholesterol not contain. None of the vegetable oil, nuts, seed contain cholesterol. Not contain cholesterol. That's I'm giving you in a red line. Okay, not contain cholesterol. Any vegetable oil or oil not contain cholesterol. And the advertisement that on a TV, that our oil not contain cholesterol, that oil already not contain cholesterol. Whatever the refined soybean oil ad on a TV, and they say that our oil not contain cholesterol, they already not contain cholesterol. Why they telling that they not contain cholesterol? Because any vegetable oil have the cholesterol. Then no need to say that in the advertisement. It's just like they are kidding you. Okay, then the important role. Okay, important role is of the cholesterol is that cholesterol is important also. Okay, but only the extra cholesterol above the body need is what? Harmful. If the cholesterol is above the body level, that only at that time cholesterol is harmful. Otherwise cholesterol is a good. Okay, the synthesis of hormone in the body require cholesterol. If in the liver the cholesterol break the bile salt, breakdown of bile salt, okay, is important for fat digestion and absorption. What? Cholesterol is important, because cholesterol break the bile salt. Then the structural component of membrane of body cell. Okay, so the membrane, that is plasma membrane, for the toughness, the cholesterol is present. Okay, structural component membrane of body cell. Okay, so there are structural component for the synthesis of hormone and breakdown of bile salt, fat digestion also. Digestion and absorption, they are very important. Cholesterol. Okay, and they are a fatty substance. Okay, they contain only in animal foods. Okay, so this is about the cholesterol. Okay, I hope you like this video. Thank you.